Well, I first want to thank everyone for participating in the YLD's second annual Wellness Challenge, and particularly for today's programming on desk yoga. For anyone that doesn't know me, my name is Frank Kragel. I am the chair of the YLD, and I'm thrilled to have you here. I'm also very excited and very pleased to be able to introduce our instructor today, Amy Pruett. Amy is an intellectual property and entertainment attorney and mediator who advises on protecting, maintaining, and enforcing IP rights and guides clients through challenging conflicts to find interest-based solutions through mediation, collaborative negotiation, and ADR. Amy, in addition to her legal career, is passionate about well-being in the law and has co-founded Abunditude LLC with her husband, Daniel, with a mission to provide well-being programs to high-demand professionals and individuals juggling numerous responsibilities. She is a 500-hour Yoga Alliance certified trainer with trainings and certifications in yin yoga, prenatal, pain management, boosting immunity, mediation, and yoga for injuries, and more. We are very excited to have her, really excited to have this program today. And with that, I will turn it over to Amy.
Thank you, Frank. And I'm so happy to be here and have this opportunity to connect with you all. I first wanted to advise that if you'd like to keep your cameras off, this meeting is being recorded for those who couldn't be here today. So if you feel more comfortable as we walk through some poses, keeping your camera off, that's perfectly acceptable. I'm first going to share my screen with a short presentation to explain a little bit why well-being is such a passion of mine. So as Frank mentioned, I've been practicing law for a number of years, and I've been transitioning most of my practice into some mediation work as well. And a number of years ago, as a young partner, I started to experience some reactions when I wasn't doing things up to what I thought was what I wanted my level of work to be. So for example, I had been working with a client for a number of years on maintaining their trademarks all over the world. And I thought I had made a mistake on an assignment document. And instead of kind of logically looking through all of the potential options and risks and things with kind of just a calm state of mind, I immediately went into catastrophic mode, and thoughts I was sharing with myself were things like, oh, I'm a horrible lawyer. I should have never made that mistake. I'm going to get fired. All of these negative thoughts just started circling around in my brain, and they became so bad that I ended up in the hospital thinking I was having a heart attack. It was not a heart attack. My heart was fine. It was my first ever panic attack. And I realized at that moment that this was not a way to practice. I really enjoy a lot about what I do. I love practicing intellectual property and entertainment law. I love helping musicians because I'm a musician. I love helping them find their creative works and protect them. And at the same time, I was getting so overloaded with wanting things to be a certain way. One might call it perfect. So there's no such thing as perfect, of course, as you probably know. And I started looking for practices that would allow me to see things more realistically instead of in this catastrophic way. Well-being has been defined in the legal industry in several different dimensions. Anne Bradford, who now owns the Institute for Well-being in the Law, has put together a toolkit for lawyers and legal employers back in 2018. And this toolkit defines several areas of well-being, including occupational, which is, as you know, is your job, your career, intellectual, so continuing to learn and grow, spiritual, the search for meaning and purpose, physical exercises and yoga like we'll be doing today, social, so connections and colleagues and relationships, emotional. And all of these are important areas. Some of the occupational challenges that we have as lawyers include the physical challenges of being in a very sedentary position. So unless you're going to court every day and walking around a bunch, most of us are doing a lot of the legwork from our desks in front of a computer, sitting in a chair. There's also long hours that are involved in doing different types of projects. There's the sleep deprivation that can come when you might get an email at 2 in the morning. There's indoors, we're indoors with non-natural light, and aging as we grow older in our practices. There's the mental and emotional challenges of the adversarial nature of what we do. Many lawyers, especially in litigation, are dealing with conflicts on a regular basis. There's one side that will typically win a case and one side that will lose a case if it goes all the way to trial. And then there's the individual isolation. So when you are working on something important and pulling together these materials, sometimes you are required to spend hours reviewing and by yourself to ensure that the work product is correct. There's educational debt if you're just coming out of law school. Of course, that lasts. I'm still dealing with educational debt after many years of practice. There's business management, so especially for smaller firms and solo practitioners, you might have some management duties for the business. And then a need for real confidence in speaking up with your voice, and this view that lawyers should not be vulnerable. So what happens to the brain in adversarial situations or in conflict? There's two systems of thinking, and this comes from Daniel Kahneman's book on the brain, on thinking. And there's system one, which is more of our automatic and intuitive reactions, the way that we respond to things, kind of our knee-jerk reaction. We've done it before, we know how we're going to respond. So you get up, you know you're gonna make your coffee, you go to work, you might end up finding yourself down the wrong path if you're not going to work that day, if you're on the automatic system one thinking. System two is more deliberate and effortful. And a lot of us fall into this when we're thinking on something long-term and we're in the flow and we've taken some time for self-care. So some of the system one biases that can happen if you are only using that automatic response system include having more of a self-centered focus. So we're born into this world and that's the first thing we're thinking about is ourselves. How are we going to be safe? How are we going to be taken care of? And so it's a natural human tendency to be more central focused. There's also a tendency, as I mentioned with this catastrophic thinking, as soon as I thought I had done something wrong, that there's a strong negative. So with every probably 10 negative thoughts, there might be one positive thought. So it takes extra energy and focus to turn a negative around into a positive. Those knee-jerk reactions, as I said, you automatically respond to something like you're running away from a tiger, even if it might not be that fearful of an experience. There's also a reactive devaluation, and this is more in terms of when you're dealing with somebody that is the opposite viewpoint from you. So if you have somebody that you're talking with and they express a complete different opinion, for example, they're the opposing party in a case and the opposing counsel suggests something, the automatic response is to devalue it because it's coming from the other side. There's also optimistic overconfidence. So that just means when you are handling a case for a client, sometimes our zealousness can create this sense of overconfidence and being more thinking that we might be more successful than is actually true. And there might also be more of an inadequate focus. So we might be focused on the wrong things. Like when we get the tunnel vision, for example, we've got that focus just on one thing because everything else is crashing around. And then more sensitivity, emotional sensitivity, and more vulnerability when we're using system one. So this idea of flipping the lid can happen when our brain, which is usually protected. We've got the, amygdala, which is our emotional regulator, telling us how to respond to things. But when something happens that creates a conflict, if someone's yelling at us, or if somebody is threatening to file a lawsuit, then you might automatically lose all these sensors, and it's like your lid is flipping. You either want to fight back, or you want to run away, or just freeze in the moment. So fight, flight, or freeze. So what does this have to do with yoga? I wanted to give a little bit of background about yoga to give some kind of understanding of where it comes from, and then how I incorporate it into a means to enhance our well-being in the legal industry. It's a 5,000 or more years old practice that's been passed down through gurus. So a lot of it wasn't written down, it was passed through teachers, and it was told from person to person over the years. There's 8 limbs. So oftentimes the current modern yoga classes, where most of us may be familiar, if you've done yoga before, with the asana practices. So if you go to a yoga studio where they're moving and doing sun salutations, those are all asanas. There are actually 8 other limbs, or 7 other limbs, that involve breathing practices. There's also just disciplinary practices, there's meditation, and then ultimately enlightenment. Yoga essentially means to yoke. So the idea was this yoke that would yoke 2 oxen together, for example, working in a field. The yoga practices are yoking or connecting the body and the mind. Yin yoga is also a passion of mine, and it comes out of a practice in China and Taiwan that was developed around 2,000 years ago. So the idea of yin is that it's opposite but also complementary with yang practices. So some of the asana practices that I described are typically yang practices, where the body's more in motion and the focus is more on the muscles. With yin, it's more with the stable and unmoving and hidden. Yang is more of the changing and the moving and the revealing. Yin is characterized by more passive, long-held poses that work the connective tissues that surround our muscles and bones. It also calms the body and the mind, and it stimulates circulation. So there are 2 different ways to recharge depending on how you're feeling. And this is what we're going to be doing today. Typically, if you have fatigue from lack of moving around, so you're very sedentary, you've been sitting all day, it might be better to do a more active yang practice. By contrast, if you're suffering from a lack of sleep and you're just really feeling low, it might be better to do a more grounding yin type of practice. Today we'll do a little bit of both, so you can experience both and choose something that fits you. But before we get into that, I'd like to do a physiology shift, which is based on pranayama. Pranayama is prana, which is life force, and that can include our breath that is moving through our body. And yama, there's 2 schools of thought. Some believe yama is the breath regulation, and some think it means ayama, which is the absence of regulation, so just allowing it to flow. So the first exercise that we'll do together, I invite you to come up to standing. You can have your chair nearby for extra support. I'd like you to think of something that you're trying to get rid of, some anxious thought or stress, or maybe it's lack of energy, something that you're trying to let go of. And as you think about that, I'd like you to imagine a fire pit in front of you that you're just throwing that out on. And we'll exhale quickly and pretend like you're sitting in a chair, but not all the way, just kind of slightly bending the knees. So we'll do that quickly, forcefully exhaling so that the inhale is automatic. As you inhale, start to exhale. Throwing out all that negativity onto the fire, letting it go, letting go those catastrophic thoughts, letting go that anxiousness, letting go fear of failure, lack of confidence. Throw that all onto the fire. Exhaling, and the inhale is just automatic. Deep exhale all the way down to the floor. Kind of watch as the energy goes from the head all the way down through the feet into the floor. And notice if you feel any differently, if maybe the blood has gone somewhere else in the body. Maybe there's a space there now for that thing that you're letting go of. And in that space, I invite you to lift your arms up into a shoulder breath. And in shoulder breath, we invite in that thing that you want to have in your life. So maybe it's confidence, maybe it's success, maybe it's losing weight, maybe whatever it is, just bring it into your life. As you inhale, exhale quickly into your shoulders. And the inhale is automatic. As the exhale, you push out the air, bringing that light, excitement, fun, whatever it is you want to bring in today. Exhale, release everything down into the floor below. Notice if you feel any different. You might even close your eyes or just softly gaze. What this does is it helps the mind to start slowing down. Notice if there's any space in the body or in the mind to allow something new in. And from here, bring your feet right under your hips. And if you don't have flat shoes on, I invite you to take your shoes off if you feel comfortable. Bring them right under the hips and spread the toes out wide. This is called rock star alignment. You're a rock star. You're confident. You know what you're doing. You're a great lawyer. So press your feet into the floor below. Maybe take your palms out, spreading the fingers wide. Roll your shoulders up and back. And breathe. Sometimes we forget that. Breathe in through the nose and exhale. We'll set an intention for the rest of this class, maybe even for the rest of the day, maybe even the rest of the week or the rest of the year. Whatever it is, set an intention, something that is a desire, a purpose, something that gives you meaning. Maybe it's winning that next case. Maybe it's turning a brief in. Maybe it's just finding calm. State whatever it is in the affirmative, like, I am calm. I am happy. I am confident. Raise your arms up. Inhale and exhale. Hands to heart center. Now for this next one, I'm going to show a chair modification that you can do in the chair. You can also do this standing. First with the chair, you come to the edge of your chair. Inhale your arms up. Exhale, fold forward over the legs. I'll show from the side. Just to where you feel comfortable and not too far. Inhale, come up to shins with a flat back. Exhale, fold again. And come back up. Standing, this looks like inhale, arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, come to shins. Exhale, fold. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Let's do that again. Inhale, up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, hands to heart. One more time. Inhale, up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come up to shins. Exhale, fold. Inhale, all the way back up. Hands to heart center. You might start to feel a little heat building. I'm going to take my jacket off. And that's good. Notice your breath. And always come back to your breath as your center point. As you inhale, we'll come up to standing. We'll take the feet a little wider than your hips and point the toes out. So these are your toes. Point them out diagonal. And start to bring the knees out over the ankles. And if you'd like to use a chair for support, you can hold on to the chair or a wall. Start to bring the knees over the ankles and come back. Inhale as you come down. Exhale as you press up. Keep the hips pointed down, tailbone down. Hug the belly in. Inhale, bring the knees out. Exhale, up. You can even add your arms as you go down. Reach the arms up. Exhale, arms down as you come up. Inhale, arms up, knees out. Exhale, arms down. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, down. Let's move a little faster here. And if this is tough, or you need a little extra support, you can also do this from the chair. So keeping the knees out. You might even just hold on to the sides of the chair. Start to lift up and down. Just little squats. And come back up. Great job. Catch your breath. Inhale and exhale. Point the toes forward. So these are your feet. Point the toes forward. Still keeping them wider than your hips. Keep your hands on your hips. Reach up from the waist and start to fold over the legs. So keeping a flat back and breathing. And wherever you feel comfortable, you don't need to go all the way to the floor. Using your breath. So with each inhale, reach from the top of the head. With each exhale, maybe fold a little bit deeper. Breathe. And gently come back up. Take your hands behind your back, clasping them. And maybe just staying right here is fine. This is to open the shoulders, open the heart, rolling the shoulders back, rolling the chest out. Open up in the jaw and the throat. Start to press the hands down to the floor as you reach your head up to the sky. Open and close the mouth a few times to release in the jaw. This is great if you do a lot of talking. Even if you don't, we tend to hold a lot of energy in the jaw. So releasing any tension. You exhale and come back to neutral. Great job. So take the right foot out. So now we're taking the right foot and placing it in the right direction. Take the back foot at an angle. So the back heel will be further back and the toes pointed slightly forward. Keep the front heel in alignment with the back inner arch of the foot. Start to bend the front knee over the ankle. Or you could just stay here if this is uncomfortable. Press the outer arch of the foot, the back foot, into the floor to lift up a little higher. Maybe take the arms out wide. Breathe. Maybe look out over the front hand. And start to unbend the front knee. So triangle, essentially making the shape of a triangle. Take the back hip towards the back foot. Reach the front hand out and towards the leg. Maybe keeping your hand on your hip, or maybe reaching it up towards the sky. Opening in the side body, opening in the hips. Careful not to put too much pressure on the knee. Always keep a soft bend in the knee. Coming back to neutral. We'll switch this time, moving over to the left foot, pointing the left toes out to the left. Take the back foot at an arch, so the back heel is further back, toes pointed forward. Keeping the front heel aligned with the back inner arch, arms out, bend the front knee. Breathe. Don't forget, whenever confronted with something new, sometimes our breath gets caught up in our chest, sometimes even in our throat. Breathing through the nose to get it back into the belly. And unbend the front knee to come into triangle, taking the back hip back, wrap the back hip towards the back foot. And maybe reaching the hand down and the right hand up to the sky. Smile. You're not on camera, but smile does many wonderful things to the face. Coming back to neutral. We'll do each side one more time. So face the right foot out, back toes in, arms out, front knee out. This time flip the front palm up and reverse. So reach the arm back, opening up in the right side body this time. And slowly start to unbend the front knee. So reverse triangle. And come back to neutral. Bring the back toes in, other foot out, arms out, knee out over ankle, flip the front palm up, exhale, reverse, opening in that side body, using your breath to create a line of energy from the hips all the way up to the fingertips. Unbend the front knee and breathe. Smile. And come back to neutral. Bring the feet back in. Take a minute to acknowledge yourself for that. That's tough work. So breathe. Notice how you feel. Notice any changes in the body. These are more active yang style poses. So you might feel a little bit of heat, maybe a little beads of perspiration. Okay. And now we'll come into more balancing postures. So grab a chair or a table or a wall to be your friend and switch your balance over onto your left foot. So the same alignment that we talked about when we were standing with rock star alignment, now it's just going to be one foot. So it's so important to spread the toes wide, feel into each side of the foot, and feel where your balance is. And maybe today you just bring your toes to the floor. Maybe you bring it up to the knee, maybe all the way to the inner thigh. Open up in the jaw. Maybe test your balance. See if you can wave your branches in the wind. Notice if you're gripping with the foot that's standing, and try to lift that energy out of the floor. It can help with balance if you find a point in front of you that doesn't move and just gaze softly, helping with your focus. And bring the knee in front, maybe lift it out. It's a test. And if you fall out, it's okay. And coming back, bring it down, shake the ankle out. Great job. And we'll switch to the other side. So moving your energy or move your balance over to the right side this time. Spread those toes wide. Feel into each side of the foot. It might be different than the other side, and that's okay. Take your other foot either to the ankle, maybe to the knee, maybe the inner thigh. Finding where it's comfortable for you. Maybe challenging the balance a little bit. A little challenge is okay. Take the arms up. Wave your branches. Ground the foot down into the earth. And maybe bring the knee in front. Press the foot up. And coming back. Great job. Shake the ankle out. We'll do one more yang style posture, and then we'll move into some more slow passive exercises. So with dancer pose, we'll lift up the right foot behind, and you can use a chair for support or a wall. Reaching the right foot into the hand, you can either grab the foot or the ankle, and maybe just stay right here, pointing the knee down towards the floor. Feel the stretch in the front of the leg, and start to press the ankle or the foot into the hand to reach it back, opening the shoulder, keeping the knee pointed down. Find your inner dancer. And breathe, smile. Gently come back. Onto the other side. Reach the left foot up, grabbing the ankle or the foot. Start to press it into the hand, keeping the knee pointed down in line with the hips. Maybe taking the hand off. If you fall out, it's okay. Have fun with it. And then when you've had enough, release the foot, come back to standing or sitting if you prefer, and breathe. We'll move now into our yin style poses. So coming to your chair, we will do a pigeon on the chair. So some of you know pigeon, this is a hip opener. You can also do it on the floor. For using a chair, reach your right foot up and bring it over the left knee. So not on top of the knee. You don't ever want to put any pressure on top of the knee, but right above where the knee is. And maybe this is a deep enough stretch. I know when I sit for long periods of time, this is always a good stretch. So you can stay here or start to fold over the legs. And if you have a pillow or a blanket, it's helpful here to put it at the waist to keep the low back from stretching too quickly. So allowing the low back to release in its own time. Just allow the arms to drop over the legs. Notice if you're holding any tension, both physically and mentally. With yin style poses, as I mentioned, they're passive. They get into some of the ligaments and the tissues, And it's a deeper internal stretch that takes moments and breath to get into. Sometimes there's stuff in there that we haven't dealt with for years. And sometimes emotions can come up when we release some areas that have been holding. Breathe. With each inhale, imagine a string pulling from the top of the head. With each exhale, maybe fold a little deeper. Move toward the sensation. If you notice the mind starting to wander, it's perfectly okay. Try not to judge it and just notice what's happening without running off with the story. Coming back to your breath. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, slowly start to push back up. Coming back to neutral, bring the foot down. Take a moment to notice what's going on in the body right now. Does one leg feel a little different than the other? I know mine does. Notice if you feel remnants of the stretch. And then we'll move over to the other side. So taking the left leg, left ankle over the top of the right leg. And maybe staying here, if this is a deep enough stretch, start to move toward the sensation of that stretch. Inhale through the top of the head and slowly start to fold over. Using your breath to allow the areas to open, especially if it's really tight and it's just not giving in. Don't force it. Just allow your breath to release that fascia. You can even rest the head and the hands if it's comfortable. That way the head won't droop and can keep the neck from overstretching. Notice as more releases with each breath. And notice if the mind is starting to slow down. You start to recognize that space between the thoughts. A deep inhale. As you exhale, slowly come back up. Coming now to your desk. We'll do a chest opener or shoulder opener by placing your hands on your desk. And you can start to reach the hands forward and bring the chest through the hands. So the shoulders are rolling back and maybe the head comes down about the same length as the arms. So right in line with the arms on your desk. You can also do this on the back of the chair, bending at the hips and bringing your head and chest through the arms. Feel the back extension, the shoulders back. Breathe. With each breath, release a little bit further. Inhaling through the top of the head. And exhaling into the floor below. And if this is tough or you're pulling the shoulders, you can bring the shoulders back just a little bit or the arms back a little bit for a little less stretch. Take a deep inhale. Exhale, slowly push up, back to neutral. Sitting up tall, we'll again take our right foot over the left. Only this time, start to bring the heel in a little closer to the hip. So this is called shoelace. So it creates a little deeper stretch in the outer thigh. And if this is too much, you can keep it back where we did before, closer to the knee. So bring the heel in. Inhale, tall through the top of the head. Exhale, start to fold just to where you feel that sensation. If you feel any tingling or numbness, back off. Notice if any areas are still holding. This can be a good stretch for the low back. Notice if you're holding any tension in the hips. Just breathe into that area and be gentle. Surrender to where your body is today. Slowly come back up with your exhale. Bring the foot down. Notice how you feel. Notice any changes. Notice the energy moving through the body. And we'll do the other side. Bring the left heel in towards the right hip. Notice if this side is different, if you need to move it somewhere else, to start to move towards the sensation without too much compression. Inhale up through the top of the head. Exhale, fold. Breathe. Using your breath, that prana or life force, move through the body. Getting into those connective tissues. Notice if the thoughts start swimming. Gently bring your attention back to your breath. One more deep inhale. And exhale, slowly come back up. And we'll come into a visualization exercise. So imagining your best self. So maybe there's a scenario or something you're dealing with at work that you're not sure how to handle. Imagine yourself in this situation, just doing exactly what you would see as your best self, your best reactions. So as you inhale, breathe in through the nose to a count of 4, 3, 2, 1, and exhale, release for 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1, and exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come back to a normal breath. And just notice where your breath is. Don't try to change it. Don't try to control it. Notice if the breath is getting stuck anywhere. If there's something in your chest or in the throat. Without trying to change it, just noticing. Start to move the attention down towards the belly. Notice how the belly fills with air with each inhale. Notice the release with each exhale, like it's deflating a balloon. Notice the cool air as you breathe in. Notice the warm air as you release. And start to visualize your intention. Visualize yourself being in that intention. It's happening right now. It's everything that you are. And imagine yourself in a situation that's been difficult or you don't know how to handle. Notice yourself being the best that you've ever been. Not reacting, calmly responding, listening and being present. Notice how it feels in the body. Notice if the heartbeat has changed. Notice if the breath rate has changed. What does it feel like to be your best self? Who are the people around you that support you? Start to come back to the heartbeat. Stating your intention again in the affirmative. I am confident. I am happy. I am calm. Deep inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Coming back to feeling in your fingertips and toes. Opening your eyes if you've closed them. And coming back to the group, I'd like to share just some questions for exploration. And you can write these down and think about them, maybe journal on them. Just take a few moments to think about, when do I feel best during the workday? When is that time you feel that you're at your best self, or you feel the most productive? What are you doing there during that time? How can I infuse more zest into my day? So are there times where you could use a little bit more energy or a little more fun? What are ways that you can infuse some more of that? And what would you do if you had more energy? If you are feeling low, what would you do if you had even more energy? And what are some of the activities that nourish me? I invite you to just take a couple minutes to look at these, and if you'd like to throw a word or two in the comments, like what kinds of activities nourish you, I'd love to hear from you. I will share myself that if I had more energy, I would probably do more of this a lot. I love teaching. I love teaching yoga. And it's hard with full-time gigs and children. So I'm sure you are all familiar. I think I have to stop share to see the chat. So let me pull that up. Hiking and backpacking. Yes, those are great. Walk or meditation. I just love walking in nature too. I'm just going out in the trees and smelling the air. Tennis. I love it. I like it, Patrick. Let's play tennis sometime. It's been a while for me. Great. Well, I love hearing from all of you, and I'd love to hear your feedback too if you want to reach out to me with questions. I also wanted to share that there's some free resources and the materials that were sent to you. I have a desk yoga toolkit. So if some of this you didn't quite take in, but you'd like to learn a little bit more about how some activities you can do straight from your desk, you can sign up for the desk yoga toolkit right there, print it out, have it available whenever you want it. We also, my husband and I, through our company, do some working well shops every last Wednesday at noon. Actually, that was today. So we did one earlier today on the same concepts that I talked about at the beginning with social well-being, physical well-being, in each of those different dimensions. And I've also headed the Mid-Atlantic chapter for the Mindfulness and Law Society. And we have a free meeting every second Tuesday of the month at 3:30. So that one is coming up on August 10th, I believe. So be on the lookout for that and sign up for more information, or email me if you have any questions about any of that. So I'd love to hear from you. If anyone wants to come off mute and share, or if you have any questions, please feel free. Thank you all. Thank you, Sierra. Thank you, Stephanie.
Have a great day.
Thanks, you too.
Well, I think that is about bringing us to the end of our desk yoga. Amy, unless there was more, I don't want to stop you. Are we going to go for another hour? I'm just. I really.
Hey, I have plenty of material if you want to go longer.
No, but honestly, we do want to thank you, excuse me, for coming and teaching us today. I thought it was fantastic. I got, some good stretches out and, feel more productive for the rest of my day now. So I want to thank you. I know that your information was provided, but if anybody on this meeting wants additional information, if it's okay with you, I will share it. I will share your information with them for any follow-up sessions.
Absolutely. Appreciate it. Thank you again for the opportunity. It was great connecting with all of you, and have a great rest of your day and the rest of the week, rest of the year.
Thank you, ma'am.
Take care.
Bye then.
Bye.